Joey, there, I hit it very loudly. Could you hear it?
No.
What? I was trying to be gentle. I was trying to
hear it.
Anyway, welcome to all of our members and our guests, and Happy New Year. Happy, not Rotary New Year, happy actual New Year. I hope everybody had a great holiday season. The club sort of slowed down during December, except for Eloisa, who I'm going to ask you to tell us real quickly about what you've been working on. But first, we are going to do some Happy Bucks. We haven't done it for 2 months, actually a month and a half. So does anybody have Happy Bucks that they would like to put out there? First of all, our funds now are going to go directly to the water project that Eloisa and Bob Cook are spearheading. So anything that you do through Happy Bucks will go to benefit that project. Secondly, there's no parameters really on the amount of money that you give in a Happy Buck. It's totally up to you. And it's just for fun. And we want to celebrate with you something cool that might have happened. So anybody out there have something to be happy about?
So,
Stephanie, go ahead.
all right, I'll go. So $10 because I finally figured out kiteboarding.
Oh,
I only crashed once the other day.
just once? That's amazing.
And I got to sail by a few manatees, and it was awesome.
Wow.
How fun. That's cool.
Yeah, way cool.
Very cool. All right.
Took me only 5 years, but I got there.
And you only fell one time. That's a really good average.
No, one time yesterday, multiple times prior.
Okay. Yeah, I would have been on my face the whole time. But anybody else have something to be happy about?
I have something.
All right, Julie, go ahead.
On my way to visit my daughter in Portugal and at a Boston airport, I got picked out of the line to be a Delta VIP, which I've never heard of that, but they walked me down some secret stairs to the tarmac and stuck me in the Delta Porsche and drove me to the international terminal and put me in the Sky Lounge. So that was a pretty exciting start to a trip.
There you go.
That's cool.
So, never heard of that before, but
did you get to fly first class?
No, I didn't get to fly first class, but my good friend was a flight attendant on my flight. I was in Comfort Select, which is kind of, or Premium Select, so it's kind of between comfort and first class. You get to recline, and so she was my flight attendant, so I made sure to be extra needy. But it was fun.
That's great. I hope you had a good trip.
I did.
Good. Chuck, you were going to say something?
I have a happy buck that we didn't have any happy bucks.
What? You don't like Happy Bucks?
It's costly.
Oh, I see. Costly to you. I got it. Very good. Anyone else? Oh my goodness. All right, Steve, how about you?
Well, this is not really happy, but in memory of, we lost our little kitty who was almost 17 this week. She passed away on Wednesday. And we're finding out what a big part pets play in your life when you have them for almost 2 decades. She had a sister who passed away 3 years ago, and then she finally passed away on Wednesday. So this is in memory of our Queen Betsy, who ruled our lives for the last 3 years.
It is so hard. You guys know I just went through that in September. It is so hard. I cannot believe how hard it is. I'm really sorry. Guys, just hang in there.
Oh, yeah.
It's a total bummer, though. Wow. To her memory. Ravina, you were going to say something?
After.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
Me and my wife are just happy.
Ah, that is the real
I don't know what the reason
for
is, but we got a great family, so I'm just happy. So I'll give $50 for that.
Very nice. Thank you. Matt, were you trying to speak?
Yeah, unsuccessfully. You know, after many years of not having a dog because Lisa didn't think she could stand the heartache of losing when we got, as you know, another puppy. And he has turned out to be fantastic. Just got his NAVDA certification, which is very, very unusual for a 5-month-old bird dog. And we're very happy to have him. So, yeah, I'll kick in 10.
What kind of bird dog?
It's a wire-haired pointing Griffon.
Oh, those are so cool.
Oh, he's very intelligent, and even at 5 months, he's already 55 pounds and 24 inches at the shoulder. He's a specimen.
Nice.
Stephanie, you have to see pictures. He's absolutely adorable.
Is he?
Super
He's got
cute.
the whiskers and
And he's a great hunter too.
oh wow.
Really good in the field.
That's very cool.
All right, David.
Like Julie, my wife and I were in Portugal last November into December. We were on a cruise that visited Portugal briefly, as well as the Canary Islands, and we had a grand time. So that's something that we enjoyed very much.
Best fish in Europe. Portugal.
Right.
Anybody else? Ray, go ahead.
Yeah, as you know, I mentioned a few minutes ago, I'm on my way to Guatemala for next week, and I'm, really tickled to spend a week, just me and my son, going back to his birthplace in Salama, Guatemala, and reacquainting ourselves with the family that is there. It's a really special occasion, and one of the events of that trip will be going to visit the grave of his mother.
That's hard, but necessary.
Yes.
Good opportunity. Yep.
It's been 10 years. It's how quickly that time goes.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that'll be a very meaningful thing.
It will.
Anybody else have anything? Eloisa.
Yes, I have a double bucks. Two reasons to have been very, very happy. This morning, I received a video from a very remote village where the kids that live in an orphanage, they're 19 boys. And we had made a collection in church, and it was ready by the 17th of December. But it takes such a long time to get there that it finally reached this last Sunday. So today, they opened up their gifts.
Oh.
And they were all joyous. New pair of pants, new shoes, a toy, a jacket. So that made me extremely happy to be part of that. And then the other one, so that'll be 10 for that. And there'll be 10 more for the next one. So can I save it for when I start to talk about the grant?
Of course.
Okay.
All right. With that, I'm going to go ahead and move on to, I did mention that we slowed down most of our committees over the holidays, but Eloisa, since you're on a roll, Eloisa has been very busy, very, very busy. If you do not know about the water project that Eloisa and Bob Cook are spearheading through our club and working toward achieving a global grant, which is huge. You need to watch the video from our December meeting, which details we had, I don't even know how many, very important international guests and representatives from districts across this country as well that are all going to be participating in that water project. They were all on that phone call. So if you missed it, you need to watch the link from the December meeting to get caught up on what is going on with this amazing project. But Eloisa, can you just give us an update on where we are with that grant?
Yes, I'm very, very happy to do that. This morning, again, after a suspensive waiting from the 12th of December to the 15th of January, waiting and waiting to get an answer and a review from our cadre from the global grant, and we finished the application. It was ready. We sent it to him, and no answer, no answer. 1st of January, no answer, no answer. And then he finally sent us a note about a week ago. He said, I was out of town. My mother-in-law had brain surgery, but she's doing fine. I will go immediately to revise to check the grant. And this morning I got a call. And let me share with you the great news. He said, just mention a couple of minimal things that he was just suggesting that we write out for clarity purposes. But so that was great. And the other ones that he said was that it is a strong project, that it looks really, really good, and he doesn't see any reason why we wouldn't be disapproved. So that made me very, very happy. So I want to share that happiness. We're coming along really, really strong, as he said, with our global grant. So thank you. Thank you for listening.
So what is our next step, actually, Eloisa?
Next step is for him to send it to his friends at the foundation for a review, and then after that's done, if they make any suggestions, we'll adjust to that or make the recommendations, and then it's sent again to the foundation for the final review. After that, it moves along whether we're approved, hopefully, and then well, we don't know how many more weeks to go, but we'll get the final approval from the foundation.
So Eloisa, for our guests, give us an update on how much money we're talking about for this project right now.
$112,000. Yes. And that's with the support of several various districts and of course from the foundation. Okay. So
Yep, thank you so much.
It's a grand grant.
And Eloisa has been the point person on this and has done so much groundwork prior to even proposing this as a project that we're just so proud to be affiliated with you, Eloisa.
Thank you. No, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. Thank you. I have to recognize my fellow Rotarians from the Campestre Club in Chihuahua, District 4110. And of course, our partnering organization, Luisa Ramos, she's great. And of course, all the back support, all the support from Mr. Ron Napun from Heart to Heart. Thank you. And our district governors. So.
Right. Well, thank you so much. Let me know if you need anything. Not that I know anything. Jim, there are people who know a lot more. You just tell me what to do.
You will. I'll let you know.
Perfect. All right. Last month we did have a board meeting where we proposed a slate, and that slate was presented to the membership for vote, and that slate was approved as presented. So your officers who have already been submitted now to Rotary International for next year, this is for the Rotary year 24-25. As proposed, this is not a surprise. If it's a surprise, you didn't read your email. But anyway, the president next year will be Matt Peabody. Stick your hand up. Matt. And then president-elect next year will be Eloisa Robledo. Hands up. And Sue Hunt has agreed again to be secretary. Thank goodness. Hi, Sue. Thank you. Steve Miller has been in training to take over the treasurer position from Jim, who's retiring. So Steve Miller, wave your hand. Thank you so much. Of course, yours truly, past president, which would be very nice. That's very nice. Ken Robinson has agreed to do membership chair. And of course, Jim cannot escape whether we want him to or not. He's going to be right there with us. Right, Jim? Yes.
Yes, I'm going off the board finally, but yeah, I'll be there to help whatever way I can.
Thank you. We appreciate it. So I want to bring back our monthly service project, our teeny tiny hands-on monthly service project. So we've done a couple things every month in our own place, since we can't get together and rally in one place to do a service project. This month's challenge is going to be to find 5 books. These can be very like new books in your house, or go to the bookstore and buy 5 books and take them to either a hospital or an elementary school or a senior center, depending on what you see the biggest need is. But if you could find 5 books per person and take them into one of these types of places, like a local library also would be fine. Whatever the need is in your area, that would be my recommendation. That is your monthly challenge for our service project. Our social meeting is going to be on Monday, January 29th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because that works for our European guys and not Steve Miller. I'm so sorry, Steve. You always get cut out of that meeting because you're volunteering, but that is the best time for the club, seemingly.
Fine.
But our club meeting next month is very, very different. We are going to be changing our club meeting to a completely different day. So in February, our club meeting is going to be on a Thursday evening, and this is because we have a spectacular speaker who literally cannot come on a Monday night. So more about that later, because I don't want to take any more time away from Larry. So I'm going to turn it over to Jim, who is one of our PDGs, who will introduce Larry. Go for it. Thank you.
First of all of you that gave happy dollars, do you know how to donate the happy dollars? If you don't, what you do is you go on our website. Do you know how to get on our website? If you ever do a makeup, you've been on there. Just pathwaysrotary.org. Right on the front page, you'll see a little button that says happy dollars. You just click on that, and then you just fill it out. It'll ask you why you're giving the happy dollars, and you just give the credit card information and punch the button, and it comes, and it'll go directly to the water project. So thank you very much for your generosity. Tonight, our speaker is Larry Wright. You were all sent his bio in the email, so I won't go into so much detail about Larry, other than I've known Larry since the year 2000. And that was when you become a district governor, you go through a training process. And one of the big training areas is you go to what's called zone. And it's made up of 25 districts, so where you go. Well, my trainer, when I was a district governor, one of my trainers was none other than Larry Wright. And I was totally impressed by this guy. I thought, wow, I hope I can be like him when I grow up. But and we became friends from then. And Larry and his wife, Sarah, and Sue and I have done things together over the years. And Larry is a motorcycle enthusiast, just like David Doherty. And was it during COVID? Was the year you made that trip to Florida? Was it 2020?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. He rode his motorcycle, but I think it was first through New York City and came down the East Coast, and he stayed a night with us there in Florida and visited with us. So I took him to all the old stomping grounds of where we call the Old South. He got exposed to that. But Larry has been a speaker at just about, I can't name the number of district conferences, including our own very District 6600, where he was invited as a keynote speaker. And I know he's spoken internationally, and he's been recognized by the United Nations. And he's a great Rotarian and a great friend. So I'm pleased to introduce Larry Wright.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you. Thank you. It's nice to be with all of you, and certainly to be with a few old friends, Dave Doherty and Dave Perkins and Sue Hunt, of course, you, Jim. And thanks for inviting me here to share my screen here in just a minute. I know that this is Vocational Service Month, and I think that I was asked, can you hear me okay? I'm on this headset. All right, good. I was asked to speak a little bit about microfinance and our experience here program locally called Launch Detroit. So I'm going to go to the screen here, if that's all right with you. Hang on 1 second. I think it's up and okay. So we started this program. I'm going to give you a little background history, but before I do, I want to recognize Jim Hunt one more time because and stay from time to time.
Think you're bumping your mic, Larry, because you keep cutting out.
Yeah.
So okay. I don't know where your mic is, but I think you're bumping it or scratching it or something. You could check.
No sound.
No sound.
Oh.
Oh dear. All right, Larry, we could hear you very well earlier. So I'm not sure what you changed, but I think we could hear you just fine without your headphones on, if that had anything to do with it.
Well, it might have been the share screen.
It could have.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but something was cutting, at least on mine. Maybe it's on my end.
Hear me now?
No, we all lost him.
Breaking up.
All right, if everyone could stop,
Okay.
let's listen to Larry.
Yeah.
Tell you what, give me just a moment. Let's see. Not sure if these headsets going to work any better or not now. Okay. I don't know if you can hear me or not.
We
Can you hear me?
perfectly. Yes, perfectly.
All right. I apologize. All this technology, you know. And can you see the slideshow?
We can see
No.
just us. We cannot see your screen.
The share screen again.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Okay. All right. I think we're going to try it again.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, we're share screen. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I'm sharing screen. Good. Good. All right.
So far,
So anyway,
good.
the night before the big game, this is what Jim sends me. What a guy, what a friend, you know? Yeah, I know, unfortunately. But we do get to gloat at least for about a year. So, but I wanted to talk about Launch Detroit. I'm going to jump right into that. And but I have to give a lot of credit.
Larry, press the play up there so you get a full screen of your slide.
Okay. Yes, sir. There we go. Thank you, Jim. Gosh, I don't do Zoom enough, I guess, is my problem. But I want to give credit to a young lady by the name of Dr. Marilyn Fitzgerald. Some of you know her. She's the past president of the Traverse City Rotary Club. And she's also done some micro lending. She's been in a micro lending program in, I believe it was out in Thailand, I believe. But
she's from Traverse City. And back in 2013, the city of Detroit filed for bankruptcy, which was unheard of in our country. And so Maryland had contacted us because up in Traverse, they've been doing a small micro lending program with their own farmers, small program with the farmers. And when she learned of what was going on in Detroit, she contacted me and said, have you ever thought about doing some type of a lending program for entrepreneurs? And it was very intriguing. So we called a meeting of all of our PDGs and current leadership. And Marilyn did a presentation, and it was just overwhelming. It's so amazing, the great her ideas, and they voted for it immediately. And so we started Launch Detroit. We didn't have a name for it. We didn't even know what the hell we're doing. There was no outline of what to do other than what she had been doing in the past. So we sat down and studied it. And but I really give Marilyn a lot of credit. I don't know if you know this, but she's also an author, and she wrote a fantastic book called If I Had a Water Buffalo. And that was the beginning of, I think, part of her micro lending experience. And the book is still available, by the way. I've seen it on eBay and other places if you want to get a hold of it. But she's also available to come and speak to. She's done a lot of speaking around the country, and just amazing woman. But she was really the one that got us started with this Launch Detroit. The program that we started, after thinking through it, was we thought we'd like to present 4 basic elements to the entrepreneurs. Once they were selected, we thought number 1, business classes would be available to them. It's all free. And we thought, well, with business classes being so broad, we would probably focus on just doing a business plan, teaching a new entrepreneur to do a business plan. So the 4 steps that we put together were the small business classes, which would include some form of a micro loan, mentoring with a Rotarian. So we tried to make sure we were assigning them to a Rotarian. And one of the areas that many of us felt was so important is networking. If Rotary, above all people, know how to network, and that's what we do every time we meet, right? We thought we could bring that same networking to these entrepreneurs. So we started out, and we had to raise money first of all. So we wound up raising about $65,000 through gifts from different churches, from Rotary Club, from the Zone Institutes, and so on. And we started out with a little pool of money, about $65,000. And once we got the program off the ground, we decided that, okay, it's time to launch it. And we put the word out through social media at that time and other advertising. And we were looking for entrepreneurs that were normally not serviced. They were in these low neighborhood areas that were getting underserved by banks. And so they wouldn't normally qualify for loans and so on. And so that was the pool that we were looking at. So these are the people that really needed it the most. They couldn't go to a bank, of course. So we started the program, and we actually started out with over 100 applicants applying for this. It was just overwhelming. We had no idea that there would be this much demand. But we had to go through these and thin them out significantly. And we ended up with 13 entrepreneurs that we were going to start this small business program with. And we were working with a small college, local college called Baker College, Business and Medical School. And Baker's was the ones who helped us with the classes and helped sponsor all the classes. But so we got it off the ground. Pardon me? Okay. So we got it off the ground. But something else happened to us too. And I went to Evanston. Marilyn was speaking at Evanston to the headquarters and invited me to go along just to hear her speak. And also she was going to introduce us to a few of the leaders there, administrators up at Evanston Rotary Foundation and Rotary International. And so I went there and told them about our Launch Detroit program. And by the end of the afternoon, they had decided they wanted to send a film crew to Detroit. So we were blessed with the fact that Rotary sent a film crew 5 different times to kind of document this whole process of what this was going to look like. And just amazing information, video that we received and photographs, and they produced some amazing videos for us to use in our promotion. And unfortunately, I can't show them to you on this setup here, but needless to say, they were fabulous. The program took off. We had 13 entrepreneurs, but honestly, it was a struggle. It was a big struggle for us because we didn't really know what we really needed to know. And we were dealing with a lot of people, different levels of education, experience. And I have to say, it was very trying for us initially to get this off the ground, because they're all at so many different levels of education, as I said. But in the end, we were able to give loans to 13 of these entrepreneurs. Some of them are still in business today. It just took off. And in fact, Evanston, Rotary International invited us to speak at 3 different Rotary conventions. So we did a presentation in Sao Paulo and Atlanta and Toronto, and a peace conference in Santa Barbara. And from each one of those, more interest came out, other different areas like Raleigh, North Carolina. So there's been some spin-offs of this Launch Detroit. There's at one time there was a launch South Chicago. There's a launch Raleigh, as I've said. And in every case, it's been a challenge for all of them, but we're learning so much. I think if you're looking at trying to do something to help in vocational service, working with entrepreneurs is one of the most rewarding services I think we can offer, because it just really feeds off of what we are and who we are with networking. This is a photo of our first class of 13. And this next couple photos, one of the couples, they owned Love's Custard Pies. We helped them get started with the little loan. And not only did they pay the loan back, and I do want to touch on those loans in just a minute, but it came back for a second loan and so on. The reason why we felt the loans were so important is because that's really what business is about. I mean, you don't get grants all the time. And we felt that giving them a loan that they would pay back with 5% simple interest was fair. And they had 1 year to pay it back. And some of them failed, to be honest with you, couldn't quite meet that requirement. Maybe their business was failing to begin with. But most of them repaid their loans, and some of them came back for a second loan and so on. But after each class, then we'd put the feelers out and look for a second class, then a year later. And typically it was about 1 year cycle that we would run for each of these classes. And so this is one here, Loves Custard Pies. Another one, this was pretty interesting because he had gotten his idea going to Chicago. I guess there's a real famous popcorn business in Chicago. And so this Ronier Golightly wanted to start his own gourmet popcorn. And it's been a hit. He's still around. He's still doing very well in Northwest Detroit. His popcorn shows up in some of the grocery stores, and he's done very, very well for himself. This next one is really our rock star. It's the one on the left, the African-American. His name is Levi Johnson Jr. And he's a musician. He was a mechanic, a bus mechanic who was unemployed, but he started his own barbecue sauce. And the gentleman on the right in the white shirt, Dr. Noel Jackson, is a dentist. And the two of them hit it off so well that Noel became his mentor. And Noel, through networking, was able to help Levi not only grow his business, but get it into coal packing where it's being produced for him. And it's in many grocery stores now in the Metro Detroit area. Levi's Mighty Fine Soul Sauce. And this is one of our best examples of success. And then two others, you see John Hugo there. He was in town for a visit. We took him around town to meet some of the other entrepreneurs. Willie Brake wanted to start his own computer store, and he's been doing amazing business over on Michigan Avenue in Detroit. And then Joan Banks had a whole collection. She does collectibles and did very, very well. she used to be on the circuit where she would take the collectibles to different outlets and little pop-up markets, but then she had her own store for a while too, and just been very successful. And then we had another young lady who had her own hardware store in Southwest Detroit, and did very, very well. And she was one of ours. So she was one of the 13. Like I said, we've had a lot of successes. Overall, I'd say there's been over 90 people that have gone through our training program. In fact, today, Baker College, unfortunately, has closed down, but now we've partnered with Wayne State University. They have what's called the Mike Ilitch School of Business. Mike Ilitch was the founder of, Little Caesar Pizza in Detroit. And so they have this School of Business, and they've partnered with the Mike Ilitch School of Business, Wayne State. So they teach now the business classes for our entrepreneurs. The other thing that's changed a little bit is that the entrepreneurs are now taking in part who decides who's eligible to get a loan from this program. So they kind of empowered them to be a little more critical thinking with the other entrepreneurs. Do they deserve a loan? Are they ready for the loan? Have they done their due diligence and so on? So it's morphed a little bit where now the entrepreneurs themselves are playing a key part in running this program. Like I said, we're still working with Mike Ilitch. One of the things I want to bring up here, this just a little bit of eye candy. This is the skyline of Detroit. And these are kind of some of the inspirational images too, because these show some of the neighborhoods, even during the bankruptcy of Detroit, when it's at its lowest, there were still thriving communities. And these were the communities that we were touching base with in finding our entrepreneurs. And in fact, some of these photos ended up in the Rotarian magazine. But I want to talk a little bit about Launch Raleigh, because if you're wanting to learn a little bit more about the variety of what's out there, this is a great example of a group, some Rotarians in North Raleigh Club started this. The gentleman, his son is a web designer, and he created a fantastic web site for their program. So entrepreneurs can go to this program and actually learn everything they need to know. And in fact, they even have a offshoot of this program, this website that if you as a Rotarian wanted to start your own Launch Cleveland or Launch Bryan, go to that website and it would have all the information of how you could also try to start a program like this, like Launch Raleigh. This next one, I want to really focus on for a moment, because I think it, in a way, epitomizes where I think this entrepreneur program has its most benefit to entrepreneurs. This is what's called the Armory in Adrian. It was for sale. A couple of Rotarians purchased it and renovated it. And in this armory is in the basement in particular, they were able to build a commercial kitchen. Now, one of the things that we learned quickly was many of the entrepreneurs were actually in food service. We had Love's custard pies. I mentioned the popcorn, the barbecue sauce, and on and on and on. Many of them were in food service. And yet, if you're in food service, you have to be working out of a commercial kitchen. I know each state is a little bit different. But Michigan allows you to work from your home, but only up to a certain volume of product. And then you have to be in a commercial kitchen. So there's a huge demand for commercial kitchens in the area right now. So they started a commercial kitchen, and they have done amazing things with this program. They call it Launch Lenawee. And this is just a little, if you want to learn more about it, it's adrianarmory.com. And Rotarians themselves, in fact, they looked at the model of Launch Detroit, and they were able to change it to this one that focused more on the commercial kitchen, but also rental spaces. I really think that where the best benefit is for Rotarians is if they can do something like this that's called an incubator program, where you have a location, You have small office space that you can rent. Hopefully you can put together a commercial kitchen and then have small retail space all under one roof. And it's been done in a couple of areas, been very successful. And I think this Adrian launched Lenaway is one of the most successful I've seen yet. They've gone through over 3 full classes now, have gone through their program. And I think that's really the direction that we could be the most effective. But at the same time, if you and your club, small club, whatever, just wants to do onesie twosies, there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there that could use the help. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a loan. It can be helping with just understanding business, the business plan, putting them in contact with bankers, networking with them, and certainly being a mentor to them. Even our small Taylor Rotary Club, though we're part of Launch Detroit, we've spun off and we're working with one entrepreneur by ourselves, just the club itself. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. It's a wonderful program. It's been going now. We're going to be celebrating 10 years, coming up on 10 years here. And just want to thank you for having me tell you a little bit about this program, but I'm more interested in wanting to know if you have any questions too, though.
If anyone has a question, put your hand up.
You could
If
unshare, Larry.
Okay. Yeah.
That would help us see who has their hands up. Thank you.
All right.
Anybody out there? I'm pretty sure there is a launch. I don't remember what he calls it because it's not here where I live exactly, but a Rotarian that was from the big Columbus Club where I was before joining this club. He moved out here to the country where I'm between Columbus and Wheeling. It's pretty rural, but he started one and is reaching very young entrepreneurs. But he had, I think, 13 people in his first year. He moved out of the city where he had a very successful business and started a winery. And on that note, started to just rally around other entrepreneurs. It's a really cool program. Very cool. Anyone have any questions for Larry? Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, Larry, do you guys, are you aware of anything like this going on in Washtenaw County over there?
I haven't heard anything so far out in that area, but they're so close to Lenaway that it'd be easy enough to spin off.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. We have a brother-in-law who's dean of Washtenaw Community College there. And I was thinking that they might be something they could get involved with. So
Sure.
I'll touch base with him, and could I point him in your direction to make some contacts?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And also I'd recommend they take a look at that adrianarmory.com. It's Mark and Mary Murray, the Rotarians down in Adrian. And they're the ones that pretty much put that whole program together, along with their club, of course. But they're the ones that had the dream. They came up to Detroit. They toured the facilities, different places that we were studying, and studied Launch Detroit and kind of spun this off. And I think they've done a fabulous job. I love the incubator style of that, and having a commercial kitchen. I didn't mention this, but our chairman of our Launch Detroit actually applied for one of the, they call them grants of scale. It's $1 million grant of scale, and applied and was in the final running for that. And that was exactly what they were hoping to do, is to buy a warehouse, put a kitchen, put in some small office space, small retail, and offer that up to entrepreneurs. I mean, that fits Rotary so well with all the resources that we have and so on. Unfortunately, we didn't get it, but Lenaway did a fabulous job on their own. Thanks. Good question. Anyone else?
Matt, you had a question, didn't you? On the micro loans, how'd you administrate that? And did you have any problems with paybacks?
Well, I'd like to say we had no problems whatsoever, but that's not true. And you do have to be very, very careful. I would say the first 13 loans that we gave out, we lost over half of them. And we had to write them off, kind of. Some of them paid back most of the loan. There were a couple that just failed almost immediately. It was very frustrating at first. And so we realized you have to be very critical when you evaluate them to make sure. And at the same time, you have to keep following up, unfortunately. In time, we learned a lot. And I think the standards were set a little bit tougher. But in all reality, the loans were only $2,500 loans. So it wasn't a lot of money, but still the idea was by being repaid and at 5% interest, this was going to perpetuate itself forever. And but unfortunately, we lost several of those loans, but even so, the pool of money is still there and they're still running Launch Detroit on their initial investment.
And your popcorn guy and your sauce guy, it must have meant employment for other people too, besides them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The popcorn has been real popular. And there's been others. There's another one, Cha-Cha Sauce in Detroit. So there've been quite a few entrepreneurs. They're still doing very well. Very happy. Yes. Where's Dave Perkins? Hi, Dave. How's Leanne doing? He's muted.
You are
now.
muted.
I read his lips though. She's doing well.
You need to unmute, David.
I think am I now on air?
Yes, good.
Of course, Leanne is doing a public service something in the office right now, so she's not here, but we're doing great, Larry, and really enjoying the ride still, so that's good.
I hope you all know how great Dave and Leanne are with audio visual. I think they do. You still were doing the All Ohio Pets for many years.
We're still doing the All Ohio
visual.
Pets, and last year we
Very
helped
talented.
out with the Zone Institute. So
oh, nice.
Hadn't done anything really since the change of zones, and I got a call and they asked if we would come down and asked me to be voice of God and Leanne to help out with some of the arrangements of stage management. It was fun.
Doesn't he sound fantastic, that voice? Talk about the voice of God. You've got that, Dave.
Yeah.
You do great.
Does anyone else have any questions? I think this is such a fabulous program and in such a needy place.
Thank you.
That it really, really does represent what Rotary stands for. And I think that's really cool. It's a really good motivation for the rest of us to keep thinking about how we can make a difference. And I know that's what Rotary is all about. So we have lots of thinkers in this group, which is really good. And any idea that you can bring, which is solid like that, I think is a real benefit to all of us. So we appreciate your time. And
thank you.
Thanks for coming. You're welcome to come anytime, anytime you want to join, you're welcome to join us. It's a little painless actually. So you're welcome to come.
Yes, it is. The technology was challenging, I have to admit.
So, Larry, give our love to Sarah, please.
I
we
will,
miss
David.
you guys.
Thank you. Yeah, we miss you too. Yeah, some of you probably know this. They split up our zones. So all of Michigan went to Canada. So now we have to speak Canadian. Hey. But we miss you all down there too.